Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk 64. And this week, with the lovely hot weather that we're having, I hope you're all enjoying it. It's tempting to get everything in the fridge. The minute we get our shopping in, it's like quick, get a wipe down or whatever you do normally and get it in the fridge. But what we have to think of sometimes is, does everything need refrigerating? There is a move to keep surfaces clean. So it's all, clutter free. Let's get rid of everything. So everything's got to go away somewhere. And most of us are inclined to put most of what we buy in our fridge. Now, things like your meat and your fish and that kind of things, obviously, we need to put those in the fridge. We don't want food going off. And we need to keep food maybe cool. Some food is better at room temperature, just that little bit warmer. So think about when you bought that food, where was it stored? Was it in a fridge, a freezer, a chill cabinet, or just on an open display? That will give you an idea, really, of how that food is meant to be kept. So let's start with a couple of things, some very obvious, some you might not have thought of. So the first thing to talk about is bread. I think you all probably know this, but the worst thing you can do, even in hot weather, is to put your bread in your fridge. The temperature in the fridge will actually hasten the staling process. The bread will go very hard, it won't be good to eat, so never put your bread in the fridge. Then we come on to another basic, which of course is eggs. Do you refrigerate? Do you not? I'm sure you all remember the old days when perhaps your granny or your auntie or somebody had the little container with the chicken on the top, and eggs were kept in that. So there was a cover on them, but they were kept out at room temperature. And any of you who are bakers will know that you need to get your eggs out of the fridge and get them up to room temperature before you use them for baking. So why is that? Essentially, it will alter the texture of the eggs, also the flavour of the eggs. So in essence, what you're doing is perhaps compromising the quality of the eggs by refrigerating them for a length of time. Now, ideally, what we used to do, again, going back maybe a couple of generations, everybody used to shop just about every day. Most people don't have the time for that. And of course, recently what we've had is COVID and lockdown. So we were told not to shop every day. It was go to the shops as little as possible. Order online, get just one shop a week. So what do we do with all this stuff? We have to keep it going for the week. So obviously we've started to refrigerate. Now, if you've ordered too many eggs, just as an example, you'll think, well, I'll put them in the fridge, they'll be fine. They probably will be for a short time. But if you've had the eggs in the fridge for weeks, they will not be the same quality as the eggs that you bought from the shop originally. And again, think of where they're displayed. The eggs that you buy in shops are very rarely, if ever, displayed in a chill cabinet, let alone in a fridge. So again, think about that. Just watch where you keep your eggs. This might come as a bit contentious, but yogurt. Now, we'll immediately put anything like that in our fridge. And a little bit of chill is fine. But again, in this weather, people tend to turn their fridges even lower than they've ever been. And what can happen is the good bacteria and things like probiotics can actually be killed off. It's not as effective if it's been chilled for any length of time. Then we get on to fruit and veg. Now, this is something that you very rarely will find in any fridges. But let's start with things like avocados. Very difficult to tell if they're fully ripened or not. So you buy them and they're either hard, or you get them and they're very soft and you think, well, it's got to be eaten straight away. If you get them and they're a little bit firm, the worst thing you could do is put them in your fridge, because it actually delays the ripening process. So you need them to sit out and let them ripen naturally. The fridge is not good for them. Mangoes will lose their flavour completely if you refrigerate. Berries are a big one. Now, I eat a lot of berries. I use them or eat them every morning with my porridge. And I'll have things like blueberries and strawberries and that kind of thing. Should they be kept in the fridge? I don't know about you, but I do often, particularly with blueberries and raspberries, throw, not a lot, but I throw a fair amount away because they start to go mouldy. In essence, again, they do not like the humidity in the fridge. So if you've got somewhere cool that you can keep them, and ideally, we're talking about the old-fashioned larders. Do you remember those? Everybody had them. And if you're very posh, you had the beautiful marble shelf that kept everything nice and cool. So I'm not suggesting that you keep your berries in a very warm room, and it depends on where your kitchen is. It could be you get full sun all day and your kitchen becomes very hot. But have you got a cool cupboard somewhere that you could keep them? You can put them in a plastic container or whatever, or any kind of container that you've got, but you may find that they last that little bit longer if you can actually put them somewhere that's not refrigerated, particularly a very, very cold fridge. Whole melons. If you put those in the fridge, what tends to happen is they will rot from the centre out. And generally, they are not nice to eat at all when that process begins. If you can keep them out of your fridge, along with your avocados that we've just mentioned and some of your berries, you'll have a great fruit bowl sitting out. Once you cut into your melon, that's a different matter. That then has to be refrigerated, but not for long. It's suggested that you only keep melon in the fridge for a maximum, once it's cut, 2 days. So bear that one in mind too. Tomatoes. Now, again, that's something we all naturally will put in our salad drawer in our fridges. And they're lovely chilled when you put them with your salad. But that refrigeration process and the humidity that comes with the refrigeration can actually damage the membrane of tomatoes. They can become quite watery and they become almost quite mealy tasting. So the flavour will be compromised. Again, you see people who grow their own tomatoes putting them on a window ledge. Often it's to ripen them, but you get that lovely flavour. And if you think, well, I don't like my tomatoes warm, I'm not saying you have to have them warm. Room temperature is probably best, cool if necessary. But if you want them cold, only put them in your fridge maybe 10-15 minutes before you serve your salad. And that way you get the slightly chill effect of the tomatoes without compromising the flavour at all. Cucumber. Now, again, we think about any salad stuff as going straight in the fridge, and cucumbers will literally just start to rot from the minute you put them in refrigeration. They keep much better if you take them out of their little plastic sleeve. And then a tip that was given to me by one of the girls at the classes was, I think she grows them. When she's picked them, the growing end, if you like, the stem that's connected to the plant, she puts the cucumber upside down with that stem down, so it's in a tumbler of a little bit of water. So the stem is just in the water, and that keeps them going for ages, and again, keep them in a cool place. Potatoes. You've probably all been eating the beautiful new potatoes that we've been having, the new harvest. They could be the Ayrshire potatoes, or it could be that you've been eating the Jersey Royals. Gorgeous flavour. And often you'll get them and just eat them because they're so delicious. But then what do you do with them? Where do you keep the ones that are left? Do you put them in your fridge? Did you buy them from a fridge? Probably not. Even if they were in a plastic pack, it's unlikely they were in a proper fridge. Maybe a chill cabinet of some sort, but even then it's unlikely. Most of it, if you like, the green grocery side, the fruit and veg will not be chilled. So with your potatoes, if you put them in your fridge, potatoes contain starch. That starch will start to turn to sugar, and that will discolour the potatoes. How often have you gone to get the potatoes out? They've gone, particularly the new ones, that horrible black colour. Not good. So keep your potatoes out of the fridge if you want the flavour and you want the quality. Then you've got things like bananas. I think that's an obvious one. If you put your bananas in the fridge, they will go black. You can still use them in things like making an ice cream. I think we've talked about this before. Or you could make a banana loaf or banana pancakes made with oats and cinnamon. Absolutely lovely, just a couple of eggs. So there are ways to use them up. But if you want your bananas to last, again, keep them out of your fridge. And there's the old rule that I'm sure you all know, which is keep bananas away from other fruit because they will give off an enzyme that actually will start to over-ripen any other fruit that they're near. Then another starchy food that you might not have thought of, onions, and also garlic. Those three, potatoes, onions and garlic, are far best kept in almost like a basket container, so something the air can move through, in a cool, dry cupboard. They will last much, much longer. If you put any of those in the fridge, they will start to deteriorate, particularly things like your onions and your garlic. They will start to get mould in the inner layers as it starts to go, or they will begin to shoot. And we don't want that either. So keep them away from each other. I would put your onions and garlic in one little basket container, your potatoes in another. Don't put them together. And certainly if you can, not in a fridge, in a cool, dark cupboard is best. This is one that you might find surprising, cheese. Do you remember in the olden days where we used to have people round for dinner and we would often have a cheese board? How did we serve the cheese? What you'd probably do is get perhaps very interesting cheeses, ones you wouldn't normally have, and you would leave them at room temperature, maybe for a couple of hours or more, so that when you serve them, the brie, the camembert, the gorgonzola, whatever cheese that you like, has a beautiful, soft, rich flavour, and that's how to bring the flavour out. If you put cheese in your fridge, what you do is lose the flavour. The cheese begins to go hard and the flavour will start to deteriorate. You won't get that flavour, nor will it last as long. And the problem again is we tend to buy things to last. So if you're buying your cheese, you'll probably go to your supermarket and you'll be looking for the best date so that it will last a long time. And I know it's more difficult for people like myself that live on our own. So you're not eating an awful lot of cheese. So we can buy smaller pieces. It's best to do that and just keep it for a short time. Economically, I know it might not be the best, but perhaps try it. And last of all, honey. Honey, if you put it in the fridge, it will start to crystallize, and that's not good. Now, we know we can put it in the microwave for a few seconds, and that will help, but you can only do that once or twice. So think about what you bought. Where did you see it in the shop, in the supermarket where you bought it? Think of the old-fashioned greengrocers. Nobody had chilled cabinets then at all. Everything was just sitting open. We have become a little bit obsessed with keeping everything chilled. Check the temperature of your fridge. Is it too cold? And generally, the dial on the fridge is just numbers. It's just 1 to 5, which isn't helpful at all because it doesn't tell you what temperature your fridge is. So maybe get yourself a thermometer as well. Okay, enjoy this fabulous weather. Enjoy a little bit of chilled food, but not so cold that you're losing the quality and the flavour. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.